Dear students, welcome to UGC E-Pathashala on Human Rights and Duties. My name is Professor YSR Murthy. I am the Executive Director for the Center for Human Rights Studies, OP Jindal Global University. In the paper 9 dealing with the national mechanisms for protection and enforcement of human rights, we will today take up the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes for more in-depth examination. In the last module, we have got a brief introduction about how the issues relating to the scheduled tribes, but we will now take up for further examination the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes objectives of this module. Basically, it seeks to explain the basis for constituting a national body for the protection of scheduled tribes in India, and you will also learn about the constitutional safeguards available for the protection of the scheduled tribes in India. At the end of the modules, students will also gain an insight into the statutory framework which governs the functioning of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. The National Commission for Scheduled Tribes was set up on 19 February 2004 by amending Article 338 of the Constitution and thereby inserting a new Article 338A, and through 89th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003, which among other things requires the Commission to oversee the implementation of various safeguards provided to scheduled tribes under the Constitution or under any other law for time being in force or under any other order of the government, and to evaluate the working of such safeguards. The Commission comprises a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and 3 full-time members, including 1 lady member. What are the duties and functions of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes? If you look at the Constitution of India, under Clause 5 of Article 338A, it has assigned a number of duties and functions to the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. The Commission is expected to investigate and monitor all matters relating to the safeguards provided for the scheduled tribes under the Constitution or under any other law for the time being in force or under any order of the government, and to evaluate the working of such safeguards. The Scheduled Tribe Commission is also expected to inquire into specific complaints with respect to the deprivation of rights and safeguards of the scheduled tribes. The Commission is expected to participate and advise in the planning process of socio-economic development of the scheduled tribes and to evaluate the progress of their development under the Union and any state. The Commission shall present to the President once every year or at such other times as the Commission may deem fit reports upon the working of the constitutional safeguards, and to make in those reports recommendations as to the measures that should be taken by the Union government or any state government for effective implementation of safeguards and other measures for the protection, welfare and socio-economic development of the scheduled tribes, and to discharge such other functions in relation to the protection, welfare and development and advancement of the scheduled tribes as the President may, subject to the provisions of any law made by the Parliament, specify. What are the duties of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes? As per a notification of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, A number of duties have been entrusted upon the Commission. It shall confer ownership rights in respect of minor forest produce to scheduled tribes living in forest area. To safeguard the rights of tribal communities over mineral resources, water resources, etc., as laid down by law. The functions also include plugging loopholes and to work more viable livelihood strategies, to improve the efficacy of relief and rehabilitation measures for tribal groups displaced by development projects, to prevent alienation of tribal people from land and to effectively rehabilitate such people in whose case alienation has already taken place. The functions also include eliciting maximum cooperation and involvement of tribal communities for protecting forests and undertaking social afforestation. To ensure full implementation of the provision of Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996, to reduce and ultimately eliminate the practice of shifting cultivation by tribals that lead to their continuous disempowerment and degradation of land and the environment. What is the constitutional scheme for protection of tribal interests? In order to understand the functioning of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, it's very important for us to appreciate the constitutional provisions for the protection of tribal rights and interests. The Constitution of India contains elaborate discussion of tribal rights. To understand the broad mandate of the Commission, it is important to understand the constitutional provisions for protection of tribal interests. Safeguards under the directive principles of state policy. If you look at Article 46 of the Indian Constitution, it lays down a comprehensive regime for the regulation and development of tribal population. It goes like this, I quote, "The state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of the people and in particular of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation," unquote. This provision in Article 46 gives a guiding light in which the various safeguards for the protection of the tribal population has to be understood. What are the social safeguards which are in position? Makes a number of provisions which are critical for the social protection of the scheduled tribes in India. For instance, Article 23 prohibits traffic in human beings and begar and other similar forms of forced labor and provides that any contravention of this provision shall be an offence punishable in accordance with law. It does not specifically mention scheduled tribes, but since majority of bonded labor belong to scheduled tribes, this article has a special significance for members of the STs. In pursuance of this article, Parliament has enacted the Bonded Labour System Abolition Act of 1976. For effective implementation of this act, the Ministry of Labour is running a centrally sponsored scheme for identification, liberation and rehabilitation of bonded labourers. Article 24 of the Constitution of India provides that no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any other hazardous employment. There are central and state laws to prevent child labour. This article is also significant for scheduled tribes and also for scheduled castes, as a substantial portion of child labor engaged in hazardous job belong to these vulnerable sections. Having considered the social provisions, what are the provisions for economic protections of STs, like economic protections of STs? For instance, take Article 244. According to Clause 1 of Article 244, the provisions of the 5th schedule shall apply to the administration and control of the scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in any state other than the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura. According to Clause 2, the provisions of the 6th schedule shall apply to the administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura. The first proviso to Article 275(1) of the Constitution of India guarantees grants from the Consolidated Fund of India each year for promoting the welfare of scheduled tribes, and in pursuance of this constitutional obligation, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs provides funds through the Central Sector Scheme grants under Article 275(1) of the Constitution. The objective of the scheme is to meet the cost of such projects for tribal development as may be undertaken by the state governments for raising the level of administration of scheduled areas to that of the rest of the state. 5th schedule contains provisions regarding the administration and control of the scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. There are 9 states having scheduled areas, namely Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Orissa and Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. The governors of these states have special responsibilities and powers. 6th schedule contains provisions relating to the administration of the tribal areas in the states of Assam, North Kachar Hills District and Karbi Angalang District, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura, in particular Autonomous Hill District. There are autonomous district councils and autonomous regional councils in these areas which have a long tradition of self-management systems. What are the educational and cultural rights of scheduled tribes like? The Constitution of India ensures that the tribal population is given enough protection so as to enable them to protect their distinct culture. And these are essential to ensure educational and cultural rights of the scheduled tribes. Article 15(4) empowers the state to make any special provision for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes of citizens or for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. This provision was added to the Constitution through Constitution First Amendment Act of 1951, which amended several articles. Article 29(1) provides that any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. This article has special significance for all the scheduled tribes. Santals, for instance, have a script of their own, namely Olchiki, but this provision needs to be understood to educate tribals not necessarily in their own language, but thereby making them isolated Tribals should be educated in the language of the state as well as the national language to expose them to the outside knowledge. Article 350A provides that, and I quote, "It shall be the endeavor of every state and of every local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups, and the President may issue such directions to any state as he considers necessary or proper for securing the provision of such facilities." Most of the tribal communities have their own languages or dialects which usually belong to a different family of languages than the one to which the state's official language belongs. Now, having seen economic, social and educational safeguards, let's turn our attention to political safeguards. The Constitution of India also makes sure that the scheduled tribe members are not deprived of their political rights, and to this effect the Constitution provides a number of safeguards. For instance, Article 164(1) provides that in the states of Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, there shall be a minister in charge of tribal welfare who may in addition be in charge of the welfare of scheduled castes and backward classes, or are given any other work. Article 330 of the Constitution provides for reservation of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the House of the People or Lok Sabha. Article 332 provides for reservation of seats for SCs and STs in the legislative assemblies of the states. Article 334 originally laid down that the provisions relating to the reservation of seats for SCs and STs in the Lok Sabha and state Vidhan Sabhas and the representation of the Anglo-Indian community in the Lok Sabha and the state Vidhan Sabhas by nomination would cease to have effect on the expiry of a period of 10 years from the commencement of the Constitution. This article has been amended 5 times, extending each time the said period by 10 years on each occasion. This provision will now expire in January 2020. There are a number of laws, both central and state, which provides for safeguards to scheduled tribes. Some of them emanate from the various constitutional provisions. The Bonded Labour System Abolition Act 1976, the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act of 1986, the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. Acts and regulations are in force in different states to prevent alienation of land belonging to scheduled tribes. In some states, such provisions exist in the Land Revenue Code. What is the impact of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes like? A considerable amount of time has passed since the formation of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. It's therefore appropriate to review, evaluate the performance of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. It's very important to include the views of different organizations who have conducted review of the functioning of the this commission. It's in this context very important to keep in mind the comments made by the Administrative Reforms Commission, which said the main problem while dealing with conflicts concerning the tribal population is that existing constitutional provisions and laws designed to protect them are not optimally used. In certain areas, the state has been perceived to be tardy and insensitive in protecting the interests of the tribals, and the situation is further aggravated by the absence of government functionaries at their place of posting. A significant section of the tribal population has gradually been weaned away from the mainstream by the extremists. Tribal populations have been antagonized by the manner in which they have been alienated from their land and forests by the enforcement agencies. In such situation, what is required is the task of state building in the literal sense of the term. It is necessary that the administration takes special care to exercise its basic functions and provide core services in the tribal areas. It is also necessary that government posts only such police, revenue, forest and development officials who have the required training and commitment to work in such areas and empathize with the tribal population. Officials also need to be motivated to work in such areas. One way of doing this would be to select officials for specific posts in tribal areas, providing hardship pay, preferential treatment in accommodation and education, etc., all of which would induce officials to volunteer for such posting. The Administrative Reforms Commission has expressed serious concerns with regard to the on-ground impact of the constitutional provisions. This extract from the report highlights the need to come up with a committed administrative framework which is mindful of the peculiarities of the tribal culture so as to be able to effectively come up with innovative solutions. Factors within the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes control, such as political courage in defending the rights of STs and acting as a watchdog body on other ministries and government organizations, or its overall sensitivity to Adivasi issues. In the case of relief and rehabilitation issues, for instance, despite a strong constitutional mandate, the Commission has not been able to exercise much influence. Certain issues have not been taken up by the Commission at all despite petitions. For example, militarization. Factors outside the Commission control such as funding, staff and the overall policy of the government regarding investment in tribal areas and subsequent displacement. Increasingly, the Commission is at best a palliative as market forces have increasingly come to usurp the space in tribal areas and decisions about scheduled areas are made not in the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe or even in the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, but by the various ministries dealing with forests, water, mining, etc., as well as by the World Trade Organization and other international agencies. The National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, like other institutions such as the National Human Rights Commission, is useful as an instrument to tell the international community that India is serious about its scheduled tribes and therefore does not require any outside intervention, but such a stance is of little help to the Adivasis of India. The National Commission for Scheduled Tribes has been very conscious in its own efforts to improve its functioning, as a result of which it has conducted several studies and published them. These are some of the recommendations made by the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. In order to buttress constitutional protection for tribal rights, the Commission has recommended that a separate chapter be incorporated in all legislations materially impinging on the suggested Charter of Tribal Rights. However, constant vigilance is necessary to ensure that tribal rights are not eroded through cavalier treatment, or worse still, by benign neglect, which has been observed to be the defining characteristic of legislative attention to tribal concerns in the last 60 years of the Indian Constitution. Therefore, it is equally necessary to strengthen the mechanisms for monitoring constitutional safeguards which are in grave danger of becoming dysfunctional on account of administrative apathy, which also lapses into perfidious obstinacy on occasion. And if you look at legislative bills, the recommendations made by National Commission for Scheduled Tribe include the following. All legislative proposals affecting STs are not reserved for advice in the Commission. Legislative bills, when received, are generally being referred to the Commission at the preliminary drafting stage. It is not appropriate for the Commission to comment on draft legislations received from any intermediate level organization of the government, because the autonomy conferred by the Constitution does not require the Commission to work as a subordinate line functionary of the government. Besides, in the interests of scheduled tribes, it is necessary to ensure that the views of this Constitutional Commission on the bill receive proper attention at the highest decision making levels of the government and do not lose definition while in the government's internal processes. It's time to act on these important recommendations given by the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. The constitutional promise for social and political and economic justice can only be fulfilled when such national institutions like the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes are given due relevance and importance. To conclude, we have briefly analyzed the background, mandate, functions and powers of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes in India. We have also discussed the constitutional safeguards for the protection of scheduled tribes. In addition to the constitutional provisions, we also discussed entire legislative framework which deals with the protection of the scheduled tribes. From all this, it is clearly evident that the functioning of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes has not been satisfactory to fulfill the mandate that has been given to it. A lot more requires to be done. Thank you.